In the headlines, man injured in Monday night's Hillsborough Street fire released from hospital. Newly refurbished Trafalgar Primary School handed over to government after a significant investment by Barbados-based trust. And the National Youth Council endorses entrepreneurship as a viable alternative for youth employment. I'm Andrea Louis with the Channel 5 News. Back with the details after this.
Imagine you have Hollywood at your command. Introducing Flow Evil. Anywhere you are.
Big girls don't scream hard like Halloween, make me feel alive.
There's a world of entertainment here, and you run the show. Flow Evil.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, one man who was taken to the Princess Margaret Hospital on Monday night following a fire in Roseau has been discharged. The fire occurred on Hillsborough Street near Big Edge Financial Express. 3 families have been made homeless as a result. Public Relations Officer for the Fire and Ambulance Service, Wayne Later, says the Roseau crew responded to the call at 8:30 p.m.
That fire involved 2 buildings, and the first building was owned by Mr. Glario Alvan Antoine, and that building was subdivided into 3 apartment units, one of which was that of the owner of the building, Mr. Antoine. Mr. Anwar Charles also was a tenant in one of those units. 2 of those units was extensively damaged. As a matter of fact, all the contents in those units under the building, they were destroyed completely. And the 3rd unit sustained significant damage. Not the total building was gutted, but most of the contents within and part of that building was damaged by the fire. The 2nd building which was involved was that of Alice and Harrison Williams, and that building sustained some minor damage to its roof. Mr. Antoine was transported to the accident and emergency ward last night by the ambulance for observation, and he was later discharged.
Later says investigations are continuing into Monday night's fire and thanked the public for their assistance, but cautioned them to be careful when they try to help in the situations.
Investigations revealed, including what Mr. Antoine said, that the fire started due to an electrical appliance that he had connected, so we could see that the fire is suspected to have been of an electrical nature. We would also like to thank persons who assisted the fire service, because the public assisted greatly last night. But at the same time, we would like to ask the general public that they should exercise due care and attention whenever there is any sort of incident. Persons who would like to help, we appreciate the help, but we would like to advise them to try not to create a hindrance for rescue or operational crews, and assist do what the fire service would have asked them to do.
Later says assessments are still ongoing into the cost of damage incurred by the fire. On to educational developments. After a significant investment by a Barbados-based trust, children of the Trafalgar Primary School will resume classes on the original site soon. Here is Julian Morris with that story.
This as the refurbished primary school was officially handed over to the government and people of Dominica by the Maria Holder Memorial Trust on Tuesday. This marks the completion of Phase 1 of the Trust's work in Dominica, which consisted of the refurbishment of the Bells, Concord, Warner and Trafalgar primary schools, and a new pre-kindergarten unit at the Trafalgar Primary School.
I had come into Dominica with the hope of looking at early childhood education, and with the Chief Education Officer, we sat down together, and with others in the ministry, we drew up a project for pre-K buildings in the 6 schools that we were originally talking about. And unfortunately, with all donors and things, it takes a while for proposals to go through and so on. So in the middle of all that, unfortunately, Maria came along. And I think we were able to respond well to that, because I obviously realized that we couldn't go into schools that were hurricane damaged, build a brand new unit like this, and then leave the rest of the school in disrepair and needing repairs. So we redid the project, we presented it to our board again, and the project became refurbishment and rebuild.
Local project manager for the school's project says the goal was to extend the longevity of the school buildings.
The goal was to breathe a fresh 10 to 20 years life into the existing facilities within Dominica. They were obviously constructed very well because Maria had come along and many of her previous storms before her, and the buildings are still standing. However, they needed a little bit of care and attention just to bring them back to fully functioning and safe operating facilities for children of Dominica. So we went through and did everything from full upgrading of services, we replaced all of the windows, we replaced all of the doors, and where we could, we tried to add enhancement to the schools. Another thing that we've done is to make sure that all the schools are secure. So we've gone through and put external fencing everywhere. Where necessary, we put in extra additional box drains to take away surface water to prevent damage to buildings, and all sorts of other little lovely touches like that.
Phase 2 of the Maria Holder Memorial Trust work in Dominica involves the construction of a new pre-kindergarten unit at the Bells, Concord, Warner and Roseau primary schools. The Wharton Waven Primary School is also on the list to receive attention.
Meantime, principal of the Trafalgar Primary School says he sees many opportunities for the newly refurbished building. Jerry Coppell, who was speaking at the handing over of the school, says the pupils will regain more school hours as they are currently on a shift system at the Roseau Primary School.
We are now operating from 1 to 4. And if you do your math, it tells that there's something like 3.5 hours of contact time every day. Can imagine the amount of time that has been lost from September to now. When we are here, we will operate on a full 5-hour shift, and our students will stand to gain a lot. I say opportunities in terms of the facility itself being more conducive to learning, well, learning and teaching.
Coppell also hopes to see an expansion of the school curriculum as teachers and pupils occupy this new building.
I think I see opportunities for broadening our curriculum, and I want to make an appeal right away to the Ministry of Education to ensure that our IT program is back on stream very, very early. So information and communication technologies is an area that I certainly sure that our students will benefit from. And so the appeal is for the ministry and the ICT department to come in quickly and get the internet connectivities, the hardware and the software programs necessary for us to go in that part. Our 4-H program is another area.
The Trafalgar Primary School principal is also hoping to open up the enhanced building to facilitate adult learning.
Of course, our parents, critical to the development of our students, too, will gain. Right now, we are talking with the Adult Education Department in terms of a parenting program to begin as early as next month. And we could not have done it in the previous facility. Now we have a facility that we can do those programs, and certainly they will assist.
The Trafalgar Primary School has a population of 33 pupils. On to other youth matters. 2019 expected to be an eventful year for the National Youth Council.
A series of youth forums are planned for all 8 youth districts. The plan is to engage the youth at community level with a view to understanding their priorities and needs. The effort is also geared at building well-rounded and balanced young people who serve in their communities.
Those forums, of course, will be done in collaboration with the Division of Youth, who remains to be our strategic working partner. After which we have completed the forums, we will also be engaging them at the level of caucuses. The purpose of the caucuses is to formulate work plans at the different district levels so as to give focus to the activities of young persons within their communities. From that, we will be holding our biannual Congress. A Congress seeks to bring a wide cross-section of young persons throughout the Dominican society in one area to benefit more or less from the interaction and networking that will exist at that level, but also to offer, interestingly and importantly, motivation. And so we will be bringing individuals, resource persons and such, to have different discussions, whether it be team building, leadership, communication.
The NYC also has plans of exploring areas of collaboration with government, private sector and civil society. This effort is meant to mobilize resources to help position young people to lead impactful lives.
We believe that we have an immense responsibility, and so we continue to look at all areas where we can strengthen our relationships that exist with our partners and various organizations, but more importantly to drive support to young persons, especially at the level of the communities, and so that they can be well balanced and rounded individuals.
You are watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
The government of Dominica has articulated its vision to become the world's first climate-resilient nation, with a view of protecting its people and the environment. Effective January 1, 2019, the government of Dominica will ban the importation of single-use plastics and styrofoam products, with a view of ensuring that our nature island will remain clean and green.
First off, the DHTA would like to commend the government of the Commonwealth of Dominica for instituting this ban on styrofoam and plastics. This is something that the DHTA has been advocating for the last 4 years. We've already seen several of our members and the DHTA itself ban plastics and styrofoam from all our events. We believe that this is a step in the right direction in order for us to preserve our Nature Island brand.
5 years ago, the Fort Young Hotel, as part of our sustainability initiative, took the decision to ban styrofoam and single-use plastic at the hotel. Our guests have been quite appreciative in terms of the hotel's decision to go green, basically, and they're very happy to be part of what we're doing, as they feel that they too are contributing to the protection of Dominica's environment and sustainability.
In this beach bar started a year ago, and we decided to use biodegradable products, seeing that we're located on the beachfront and Miro is a beach cleaning community. We decided to do our part by using biodegradable products. I've had customers who came, and when we presented them with their takeaway meals, some people hug me, some people kiss me. They're so happy to be using biodegradable products.
In order to preserve our nature island, we must be proactive in our approach towards the conservation of our environment. This move will certainly make Dominica more attractive to the environmentally conscious traveler. A message from the Ministry of Environment, Climate Resilience, Disaster Management and Urban Renewal, and the Ministry of Tourism and Culture.
Imagine you have Hollywood at your command. Introducing Flow Evil.
Red cheese, gold rings, all black, everything creeping through the night.
Anywhere you are.
Big girls don't scream hard like Halloween, make me feel alive.
There's a world of entertainment here, and you run the show. Flow Evil.
Welcome back. Attorney at Law John Elliott Charles has called on the Police Welfare Association members to rekindle their interest in the association and the police service. Charles was the keynote speaker at the recent Police Welfare Awards ceremony. The attorney pointed to 3 key areas which he believes can help revive the members' interest in policing.
So let me start with community policing. Generally, the term policing means community policing. So if some of us do some research, we will realize that it is understood as a deliberate undertaking to enforce common standards within a community and to protect that community from predators that exist within that community. And predators, I mean persons who tend to do things they ought not to do that tend to be against the norms of the society.
Another aspect of policing Charles feels police needs to be more in tune with is global policing, the effects of which trickle down to small countries like Dominica.
Policing in a global environment. This term is of current vintage, and this form of policing is known by a variety of names, including secret policing or political policing. And that form of policing has developed as a result of domestic and international threats to national security. Out of that, we have seen the development of a number of law enforcement agencies, and these agencies tend to focus on crimes having an international reach.
Charles believes the link between community policing and global policing leads to the need for better management of the police system through consultation.
So therefore, we are seeing that there is a collision of policing techniques between community policing and global policing. And we need to stop and think whether in the Dominica Police Force we are seeing a creeping of global policing that presents a threat to our democracy. And whether we need to give careful analysis and discussion to our management of the police service. And I go to the third and the last part that talks about a tool of management. Consultation. And when I talk about the concept of consultation, what do I mean? I will limit it in one context, in the context of management and change.
And Dominica's young people are being encouraged to seriously explore entrepreneurship as a viable option as they begin to consider a career path. National Youth Council President Paul Barron says while he welcomes the opportunities made possible through the NEP, it would be unrealistic to expect government and the private sector to absorb all unemployed young people. Barron says the prospects are good for young people interested in becoming self-employed.
Of course, we will be looking at ways whereby we can assist young persons either with the development of business plans and such. One thing that we have to attest and come to appreciate is that the public and the private sector cannot absorb every young person that comes out of university or that comes out of the Dominica State College and such. What we have found to be important is that if those young persons in turn, after having obtained an education, that they can utilize those skills and business ideas to develop small businesses and such, recognizing that within our society there are different demands or services that are required, and so their ingenuity and innovation and creativity can bring a new service or a new product or new good in the marketplace. If we rely solely on the government of Dominica or we rely solely on the private sector to absorb the vast amount of young persons that graduate annually, then we will never solve the unemployment problem. We have to motivate young persons to become entrepreneurs. And we have to motivate them to become small business owners so that they do not just create employment for themselves, but they also create employment for other individuals as well.
Construction and tourism are two areas Barron believes are full of opportunities for youth employment.
We have to know the pace of the country and its economy. As it seems now, for example, the construction industry is on a real high and it's booming. It would make sense also to direct some attention to that sector. The tourism sector is growing, and we see that with the establishment and building of various hotels and the different plans and intentions that are there for this industry. As we speak right now, the National Tourism Master Plan is being revised and developed in such a way so it can focus on incorporating the whole quest to become climate resilient and such. So there are a number of areas, and I believe the future of Dominica holds a lot of unprecedented opportunities for young people to capitalize on.
To end the news, the headlines again. Man injured in Monday night's Hillsborough Street fire released from hospital. Newly refurbished Trafalgar Primary School handed over to government after a significant investment by a Barbados-based trust. And the National Youth Council endorses entrepreneurship as a viable alternative for youth employment. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Louis, and to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us next time.